Okay, so if we know that when we're filming in log, we're going to have this horrible kind of pale washed out look, how do we film so it looks like normal? So it looks like what we know it's going to turn out like at the end of the edit. Because if you're going to be doing a full shoot, you want to have like a real idea of what it's going to turn out like. So as we can see on the screen here, we are filming a log image of a pretty nice Mr. Men pirate ship. So we use this just because we get a good idea of the colours that we can get out of it. And if we look on my monitor of my camera here, the camera I'm using is called a Kinefinity, and we're using Kine Log at the moment there. So we're in our log profile. So as we can see, it's a pretty flat, pretty washed out image. So what we can do is we add what we call a Monitor LUT. And what this Monitor LUT does is take this log image and adds the necessary saturation and gamma curve, which gives it that contrast and makes it look like what you expect your picture to look like. So when I put this on, it will make absolute sense. So if I go over to here, we can see we're using the Kine Log at the moment. And then if I go over to the LUT, which is this called KC Newt, we can see there straight away that adds all that contrast and that saturation. And now this is what we expect to look at really. We've got all that colour there and it looks really nice. And this is also a good example of what we were talking about in the last video of that dynamic range, where we can obviously see we've got some very bright highlights coming from the windows and then onto the radiator, and then we've got some darker shadow areas to the right hand side where we've got the corner of the room and some black bags. So this is a perfect example of how a camera with a good dynamic range handles these conditions of having such stark differences between brights and shadows. So this LUT's purposely made for this camera, but all the cameras you would use, if it's a Canon or a Panasonic or a Sony, they will have these kind of things built in already. So then you'll be able to monitor your images and know that what you're filming is going to be what it's going to turn out like in the edit.